Do I look fancy? I feel fancy. So this is going to be like the most random middle of the week video ever. I meant to put out a TBR for Fortnite Frights, but then like life happened. It didn't work out. It didn't work out. And today, the reason I'm wearing very fancy things is because I'm recording like 3 asynchronous videos to teach. I am meeting my clinical teacher for the first time, and I just recorded a review for this really great book about independent reading strategies. I feel like such a teacher. Is my YouTube channel slowly gonna just morph into like a teacher offering advice? Maybe it should, because what if the kids find this? If you're wondering, that's why I haven't been cussing as much in videos. Because like if they Google me and there's this weird lady talking about books online. I did start Fortnight Frights on Sunday. I started with some of my smaller books and have been working my way up to the bigger novels. Because again, I've got 2 weeks and I've already met a lot of the challenges with the books I have read. But I don't know how busy the next 2 weeks are going to get. We only have 4 weeks of school. And my brain can't comprehend that. My brain is already on like Thanksgiving Day and I'm eating food and I don't have assignments. That's where my brain is. So I'm really having to work hard to anchor myself into these videos today and do my assignments. So anyway, let's look at the books I have read for Fortnight Fright so far. I read When I Arrived at the Castle by Emily Carroll. We know I love Emily Carroll. Through the Woods was amazing. I love every comic she ever posted to her website. And I did a blog post for the Writing Center about her for LGBTQ plus History Month because if you didn't know, she is married to a woman. I don't know what she identifies as. She's very reclusive, not a lot of interviews. But this book is so good. It's monochromatic with a touch of red, which makes it not monochromatic, but like moving on. It's black and white and gray all over and then red. It's just stunning. And it's really short, really quick. I really wish there was more, but that's just because I love Emily Carroll. But I think the story said what it needed to in what it said. And it's quick enough that I can reread it if I want to in the future to gain more insight. The next thing I read was The Legend of Sleepy Hollow from this cheap book that I bought off Amazon that only looks like a Penguin classic. It's actually just like someone printed it out and binded it. And I'm like, great, well that was a hot waste of $4. Should have checked the reviews on that. But it'll be cool for taking pictures. But Legend of Sleepy Hollow, we know what that's about. Ichabod Crane goes to Sleepy Hollow and he's a school teacher and he's really superstitious and he gets scared off by the Headless Horseman. It's not like the Johnny Depp Tim Burton movie at all, even though the aesthetics of that movie are like Katrina's dress at the end. You know, that black and white dress. Child. But I finished The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, so I finished those 2 books on Sunday night because, again, they're like super thin. The next day was hard because I wanted to try to find a challenge that fit the section on the bingo card that says mainland European. And I thought, oh no, I have got a lot of not mainland Europeans. And so I'm like, okay, what's mainland Europe? And so I ended up finding a short story by Guy de Maupassant, who I've read before, called The Horla, and that would have covered 2 challenges. It's translated, and he's from France. And so I looked, and I was like, oh, it's the book from the other video I just did. And look, what's that at the end? It's The Horla, which is basically about a guy losing his mind, which is kind of meta because apparently de Maupassant did kind of not go crazy, but like lose his sanity a little bit after this was published. And it's a trippy book. Let me read a quote because I've got some stuff marked here. The plot of this short story is that this man starts seeing things, or rather not seeing things, but experiencing them. But here's a quote. Do we see the 100,000th part of what exists? Look here. There's the wind, which is the strongest force of nature, which knocks down men and blows down buildings, uproots trees, raises the sea into mountains of water, destroys cliffs, and casts great ships on the rocks. The wind which kills, which whistles, which sighs, which roars. Have you ever seen it, and can you see it? It exists for all that, however. And that's terrifying. Like, over the course of the book, it's just terrifying. And you really are left with this idea of, is he really experiencing something he cannot see? Is something really there, or is he really making it up and just kind of like losing his sanity? And it's ambiguous. I mean, it implies that there's something, but it's a really big stretch to the something. So I don't know. It was really good. I would recommend it. The Horla. It does not take long to read, and it really will get you thinking about stuff you can't see that's really there. The next thing I read that I do not have a physical copy of, shockingly, is The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe, because one of the bingo things was a poem, and that's a spooky poem. And so I read The Raven again. I feel like I read that every year. I have a collection of Edgar Allan Poe poems, but I think it's at my parents' house. Like, I have a whole collection I stole from a middle school library. The next two books I read, I do not have physical copies of, but I will have to rectify that soon because they were both amazing. And I read them, I started one of them Monday night and I finished it last night, and the other one I started last night and finished it because it's really short. I read Penance by Kanae Minato and Night of the Mannequins by Stephen Graham Jones. Neither of those people miss. Like, they just don't. This is the second book I've read from both of them. I read Confessions last fall for Spookathon, and I read The Only Good Indians back in April, and both were amazing. When Stephen Graham Jones wants to be graphic, he can be, but this one, The Night of the Mannequins, was so beautiful. And I don't think, like, I don't know that maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it's really just, it was so effective to me as someone who has grown away from a lot of friends from high school and is seeing people, like, exist in other spaces outside of where I am, and, like, the lengths you go to make sure you still have connection to those people is fascinating. And it was so short and well paced. Like, it don't miss. Penance by Kanae Minato was the same way. It was about four girls whose friend was murdered when they were young, and it basically catches up with them as they are adults and what has happened in their life, and it's crazy. It's just absolutely shocking. And much like Confessions, you don't really know the full story of what's going on until the very last chapter near the end. And it might not have had the thrilling aspect of, like, a last minute thing that Confessions did, but I really just couldn't stop reading because I needed to know what had happened and who committed the murder and what was happening with these women. And the idea of penance comes from the fact that the mother of the murdered girl basically held these girls accountable, like verbally told them that she was holding them accountable as murderers unless they did penance. And it looks at the idea of what penance means for these women, and it's a lot. But both of those books are really good. I do not know that I'll have time to start anything else today. I think I will have to just be doing homework today because I've got so much to do. But I've started The Ballad of Black Tom on my Kindle, and eventually I'll start Mexican Gothic. I think I have the audiobook for that, and I usually listen to an audiobook when I clean, and oh boy, does my house need that. So at some point I will have to tear myself away from homework and go clean my house, and then I can listen to Mexican Gothic. So I'm hoping this will be posted like today or tomorrow as sort of a wrap up of the first half of the first week, and where I stand and what I've read, and then I will post something else later on when I have the time to do that. So let me go do my homework, and let me go film teaching videos since I look super profesh today. And I look forward to reading some more spooky stuff. So there's coffee in here, but I wish it was apple cider. Like that, it's really disappointing. I'm gonna have to make apple cider today. It's like 80 degrees, but fake it till you make it.